Good day, grade 12. I have another question that I'm going to go through with you guys. I'm going to just quickly share that page with you, and then we'll get started. Right, let's see what I've got here. Let me just move my own face out of the way. Okay, so it says Wendy and her three sisters live with their grandmother in a one-bedroom, low-cost RDP house. Their grandmother has got osteoporosis. I think that is pretty important to highlight. I'll highlight it already, so we know what disease we're dealing with here. Her grandmother's pension is too little to provide them with balanced meals. Most of the time, they eat porridge with milk. Okay, I think that's important to know. They do have a small vegetable garden. She's got spinach, onions, green peppers, onions, tomatoes, carrots, strawberries, oranges for the house. When her grandmother can afford it, she serves canned fish or eggs with the porridge for supper. Occasionally, they do receive food parcels from the government's feeding scheme. So question 261 says name two ingredients. Here's also very important. Let me just change the color there. Besides milk and eggs. We cannot talk about milk and eggs then in our answer. So name two ingredients besides milk and eggs that Wendy's grandmother can add to the breakfast to fulfill or increase, to fulfill their increased protein. So they have got an increased protein and energy needs. Okay, so they want to know what foods can she serve to fulfill in their higher protein needs and in their higher energy needs. We can therefore not give an example of a food that is high in starch because they do not ask about starch. They are specifically talking about increased protein and increased energy needs. That's important to realize. And then also always look at your mark allocation. Then 262, discuss how the diet contributes positively. So we have to discuss, that means in full sentences, how the diet contributes positively to the grandmother's management of osteoporosis. Okay, that is then for 6 marks. In this question, a lot of our grade 10 and 11 work is going to be important here. So let's just quickly go back to the case study, read it again and see if anything that we missed. She and her 3 sisters live with their grandmother. It's in a 1-bedroom low RDP house. They have osteoporosis. Yes, we've got that. The grandmother's pension money is too little to provide them with balanced meals. Okay, we know. Most of the time they eat porridge with milk. So porridge, high in starch, milk, calcium, and protein. The grandmother's got a small vegetable garden. She grows spinach, onions, green peppers, tomatoes, carrots, strawberries, and oranges for the household use. Now, reading this, I think it's important that you are able to know these foods, what nutrients do they provide us with in our daily lives. So if I were to eat strawberries, what are the nutrients that I'm getting from strawberries? What are the nutrients I'm getting for carrots? And then in this specific case study, which ones are of importance for this lady that suffers from osteoporosis? Now, when the grandmother can afford it, she gets canned fish or eggs with the porridge, and that's what they then eat at supper. That's important to know, yes? Okay, so let's start with our first answer. Name 2 of the ingredients that is not milk and is not eggs that Wendy's grandmother can add to the breakfast porridge to fulfill increased protein and increased energy needs. I'm going to give one example for protein and one example for energy needs because it counts 2 marks. So if I think back to grade 10, when we learned about energy needs, we learned that fats will provide you with at least 38 kilojoules per 1 gram. So I'm going to give a fat example. She can therefore add butter or margarine, because I know they are very, very high in kilojoules, and kilojoules is what provides us with energy, right? So I've got an answer or an example for the energy needs, but I also need an example for the protein needs, but it cannot be eggs and it cannot be milk. So when I think of something that's high in protein, but that can also be high in high in protein and can also be high in energy, it is peanut butter. Peanut butter. All right, so there's my two answers for that one. And then in 262, it says discuss how the diet contributes positively to the grandmother's management of osteoporosis. So in this diet, what is there that is contributing, that is good for, that she's doing correctly, or that she's eating that is correct in her daily diet? So let's just go back there and see what we are dealing with. We can see that most of the time they eat porridge with milk. Now, osteoporosis, we know, is a bone disease where the bones start to get brittle. Milk is high in calcium, and in grade 11, we learned that calcium is necessary for strong bone development. So I can say here that the family consumes milk with their porridge, which is high in calcium, which is important for the development of strong bones. Guys, we cannot say, or you don't have to say strong bones and teeth, because we're not dealing with a disease on teeth. We are dealing with a disease of the bones. Osteoporosis is a bone disease. So I just want to fix all my spelling mistakes. Okay, so I'm talking about milk. It's high in calcium, and that's important for strong bones. Can you see that I am making a statement, but I'm elaborating on that statement? I'm giving more information because it's a discussed question. I'm not leaving it at just a statement by saying they drink lots of milk, or I'm not going to just say they are consuming lots of calcium. You must show where and how and why it's important. So then the next one that I can see then that's important, the one that's standing out for me here is the canned fish that I am noticing. So we know that canned fish, like pilchards, it has bones in it. It's very soft bones. And when we eat it with the bones, it's also added calcium. So when the family eats the canned fish and consumes the soft bones, it is also contributing to the calcium requirements, which supports strong bones. Right. Then, as this question is counting 6 marks, I'm making sure that I'm going to say at least 3 things and elaborate on them or give more information. We can also talk about, if I look at the other foods here, we've got spinach, onions, green peppers and tomatoes and strawberries and oranges. I know that that is very high in, I just want to see my notes here. These are high in vitamin C, and they also support strong connective tissue between our bones. So I'm going to mention here, the family is eating oranges, strawberries, and strawberries, green peppers, and tomatoes, which is high in vitamin C. Vitamin C helps with building strong connective tissue in the bones. I think that's it. And I think that that is going to be at least 6 marks. I've had 3 statements, which I've elaborated on and given more information. So I believe that I am going to get to the 6 marks that this question needs. So I'm going to go down to our mark allocations, and let's see what they have here. So we could have answered, the question was, name 2 ingredients other than milk and eggs that Wendy's grandmother can add to the breakfast porridge to fulfill the increased protein and energy needs. We said butter and margarine, and then butter and margarine is in fact correct. So we will get a mark for butter or margarine. They actually have also vegetable oil there. And then we also said peanut butter. So we can also get a mark for mentioning peanut butter. The other examples that they have is by adding sugar, honey, or syrup. That is going to be high in kilojoules. So it's going to add to our energy needs. And then they've got a non-fat dairy milk powder or amasi. Now those will also be high in protein. Okay. Then question 262, the one that says, how does her diet contribute positively to the management of osteoporosis? We said the family consumes milk with porridge, which is high in calcium. Let's see if they said anything like that. They use milk. Okay, so we've got milk. We will then get a mark for saying that the family consumes milk with their porridge. And that contains, we said calcium, which is correct, which is high in calcium, correct. So we'll get a second mark. They are also mentioning that milk is high in phosphorus, which is true, as well as vitamin D, which is true. And that strengthens bones. We mentioned about strong bones. So we will get tick number 5 here, which is important for the development of strong bones. So we've actually already got 3 marks, 3 out of 6. Then we talked about canned fish. Let's see. Yes, the second bullet here. The canned fish, if eaten with the bones. Let's see. We said when the family eats canned fish and consumes the soft bones, so we mentioned that, so tick. It is also contributing to calcium requirements. It will provide calcium, right? So we are also getting tick number 7 right there. It is also contributing to the calcium requirements, and that supports strong bones. Right. Then we also talked about the family eating oranges. Let me just fix my spelling mistakes. Strawberries and green peppers and tomatoes. Here they are talking about the tomato, oranges, strawberries. Oh, and they're actually getting a mark for each one of them. So we talked, the first one that we gave an example for was oranges. That is high in vitamin C. Let's see. Yes, they contain vitamin C. They contain vitamin C. And if my calculations is correct, we are now at 6 marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, that's actually more than 6. It's 7 ticks already that we have. But the answer is correct that it's necessary for collagen or connective tissue synthesis or building of tissue. Remember, the word synthesis means making of or building. So this word over here, synthesis, is a word that's important for you guys to know. It means building. Okay. Yes, let's get there. Right. Let's double check our mark allocations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've already got our full 6 marks over here. Let's look at the other answers that would have also been correct. At bullet number 3, they occasionally eat canned fish, which we've mentioned, and that also contains vitamin D. And vitamin D is needed in the absorption of calcium. You can eat all the calcium in the world, but if you are not going to consume vitamin D, then that calcium will not be able to be absorbed into the body and its incorporation into bones. Then we talked about the tomatoes, oranges, strawberries. That contains vitamin C that is needed for the building of connective tissue. Then in the answer, you could have also mentioned that she is consuming proteins through the fish and the milk. And that will also assist in the connective tissue synthesis or the building of the making of connective tissues. Now, remember, there's one thing that's important when it comes to osteoporosis. Yes, your diet needs protein, but it cannot have too much protein because protein interferes with the calcium absorption and how calcium is used. So they can mention in this question, or in this answer, she does not eat too much protein-rich foods. Because what will happen is that the body will release acids in the bloodstream when you eat too much protein. It will release these acids into the bloodstream, which when it digests the protein, it will withdraw calcium from the bones to then neutralize those acids. But this is not happening in her diet because she is not eating too many proteins. Here's an important thing that I want you to look at. At the bottom here, it says, note, the foods can only be awarded a mark when it is linked with the correct nutrient. Guys, that means that you cannot say the tomatoes are high in vitamin C, which is needed for strong bones, because vitamin C does not give you the strong bones. So then we cannot award you a mark. It has to be calcium, strong bones. Vitamin D helps with the absorption of calcium. Vitamin C, the building of the connective tissue. It has to be linked with the correct nutrient must be linked with a correct function. Very important. Okay, so I hope that that has helped. It's a short question that we looked at. I would love for you guys to just send me in a comment in the YouTube, send me a comment on what things you would want me to have a look at, any specific questions that you want me to answer. Please type in the questions or please take a photo of the questions and let's see if we can then answer them. You can also follow on Instagram at Matric Coach and you can send me through some of your questions over there. All right, guys, until next time.